There's a big debate going on right now in the Democratic Party about how to appeal to voters in 2022. There are a lot of social issues getting a lot of attention. Governor Gavin Newsom in California just signed a law requiring gender-neutral toy sections in stores. There's obviously a lot of debate across the country, not all of it well-informed, about critical race theory and how race is taught in schools. Do you have concerns about how these debates are taking place? Obviously, I'm not talking about how they're depicted in right-wing media, because it doesn't matter what the Democrats do or liberals do for right-wing media to lie about it. But there are a number of independent voters who might not understand what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things a lot of people don't understand, and something's either right and common sense. I mean, I do think there are ways to accomplish some of these goals in ways but you can't govern to the lowest common denominator. You can't. I think one of the difficulties, and again, it's with the way that the lens through which we view everything is based on, and what will that mean for the midterms? Or what I saw a great headline in Politico as Afghanistan was descending into chaos in that final week. And the headline in Politico, this was the top line headline, the one with the 40 point font, whatever it was. It said, "Why Afghanistan may not matter in the midterms." And then the subhead was, "And why it might."
Wow. I mean,
I think
they have a point. They have a point.
But that's our journalism, right, man? Isn't that like, how many times have you seen stories about the battle over masks? That's the Karen yelling in the store and the people throwing them out and all that. And how many stories have we seen about the efficacy of masks or the why? Or the actual, like, there are some, but the overwhelming majority of stories seek to expose the conflict lines.
But do you think it's all about the media? There isn't anything to the degree of that sometimes activists on the left risk alienating a culture instead of educating and then bringing people in? That's one of the criticisms.
Their job isn't to educate necessarily. I mean, I agree with you. I'm uncomfortable with certain activism that feels performative. I think a lot of times it's not particularly helpful. And if your goal is to create a change there, sometimes that performative activism isn't particularly helpful. But in the scheme of things, performative activism gets people's attention. And if the follow-up to that conversation is fruitful, it can be really effective. But I don't generally think that the problem in democratic politics lies with activists. I just don't think that that's a fair assessment of what's wrong with, democratic politics.
You think that it's that Democratic politicians don't deliver enough to the people that they were elected to represent? Is that more accurate?
I think that their ability sometimes to respond in kind with smart and competent programs is probably a bigger problem. And so everybody wants to talk about, like that question you said about gender neutral, I can't remember what you said, gender neutral
sections in toy stores. It's a law that the governor just passed and signed into law.
But honestly, that law, who gives a shit? Do you know what I mean? In terms of the importance of the running of California, yeah, it's a law. Who's it really going to impact? It reminds me of, somebody said to me that they were upset the other day that things had gotten so out of hand. Oh, Demi Lovato wanted to be referred to as they. That was the pronoun that Demi Lovato wanted to use. And this person went, this is just, it's out of hand. And I said, well, I've got really good news for you then. You don't know Demi Lovato. So you're never going to have to really be in this situation. And whatever pronoun you use in conversation, she will be fine because you don't know Demi Lovato. And if you ever did meet Demi Lovato and you use the wrong pronoun, I'm sure Demi Lovato would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I prefer this one. And then it would be good done. But in the media, that story is ubiquitous. And I think the media does a terrible job at de-escalation.
Yeah.
And de-escalation is the antidote to all this nonsense. And I don't mean civility, and I don't mean nonpartisanship. I mean focusing on things that are more urgent and elemental in people's lives and really hammering away at those things.
Yeah.
Rather than purely the emotional fault lines that occur in societies.